Hello everyone! In this video, I will explain today's Wordly Wise vocabulary words for Lesson 3. I'll tell you what each word means and show you how to use it in a sentence. Let's begin! Our first word is ambition. Ambition is a strong wish to be good at something or to have something. So it's something that you really want to do or become, like a goal that you hope to reach. And when we talk about an ambition, it's usually something in the future. The example sentence says, Claire's ambition was to dive into the pool without making a splash. So let's say that this girl here is Claire and she's practicing diving. So her ambition or her goal is to be able to dive without the water splashing too much. She wants it to be very smooth. So that's her ambition or her goal. Someone's ambition for the future might be to become a great swimmer. Or it can be something like learning how to play the piano. That's a common ambition that many people have. And maybe your ambition is to become a doctor one day. Any goal or hope that you have for the future can be described as an ambition. Our next word is auction. An auction is a public sale. Each item is sold to the person who offers the most money. So it is a sale where people take turns offering money, and then the item that everyone wants to buy goes to the person who offered the most money. During an auction, people will raise their hand or they will call out the price that they want to pay for the item. And then, like I said, whoever gives the most is the person who wins that item. The example says, at the auction, Peter's uncle bought a maple desk. So unlike a store where there are many items and they all have prices, an auction usually shows one item at a time or maybe just a few items, and then there is an auctioneer. This person's job is to keep track of how much money has been said. So when they start bidding means they're saying how much money they will give. It might start low at like $50. And then another person might increase that amount to $100. And then the next person might say $300. So the auctioneer's job is to keep track of how much money the current bid is at. And then when no one else increases the amount, the person who said the most is the one who wins. At some auctions, they might use paddles like this with a number. That's your number so that the auctioneer knows who you are, or you might just use your hand. And auctions are very common when it comes to selling ancient things like antiques or art that is very expensive, or even homes can be auctioned. Many people like auctions because they might be able to buy an item for less money if not many people show up to buy it. Our next word is coast. Coast can be used as a noun, and the coast is the land beside the sea. For example, after we reached the coast, we walked a long way on the beach. So the land that is directly next to the ocean, we call that the coast. It can be just land like a mountain like this picture here, or the coast might be next to a beach. Anytime that the ocean is meeting the land, we call that a coast. And we can also use coast as a verb, and as a verb it means to move without power or effort. For example, Gabriella and Lucy quickly pedaled their bikes to the top of the hill and then coasted down the other side. So if you imagine a hill, it's very difficult to go up the hill. You have to use a lot of energy. But when you finally get to the top and then go down, you can just coast. So you don't need to put any energy into moving your bicycle or whatever other vehicle you are using. Just the force of gravity will push it all the way down the hill. So anytime that you are moving without power, we can call that coasting. In this video here, I can say the skateboarder coasted down the hill. Our next word is current. Current can be used as a noun and it means a flow of air, water, or electricity. The example says, the lifeguard told us not to swim to the middle of the river because the current there was very strong. So anytime that air, water, or electricity is moving from one place to another place, that is called a current. In this picture here, you can see there's a wire and the electricity is flowing or moving from one side to the other side. So that is a current. Here too, there's a picture of the oceans as you would see it from space. And all of this water here that's moving, these are all called currents. The ocean water is not just sitting still like a pool, it's always moving. So we call that movement a current. And boats can use currents to help them move faster across the ocean. And the word current can also be used as an adjective, and then it means of the present time. For example, is Caroline's current address 7 Elm Street, or did she move? So when we use this word current, we are using it to mean now, something that is true or something that is correct right now. For example, if this is this boy's favorite book right now, I can say this is his current favorite book. It's the one that he likes right now. That might change in the future, and it might be different from the book that he liked in the past, but the current favorite book is this one. Our next word is frail. Frail is an adjective and it means weak, not very strong. The example says, Danny looked frail when I visited him in the hospital after his operation. So you can imagine someone who's in the hospital and just had an operation probably does not look very strong. So this word frail can be described to use someone who does not look strong. We often use frail to describe people who are older, usually because they have a difficult time moving around and are just much slower than normal people. Or if you ever had a cold and felt very weak, like you couldn't move very easily, then you might have been feeling frail during that time. And this word frail is used in a kind way, not in an insulting way to make someone feel bad. It's just a describing word for someone who is not very strong at the moment. Our next word is intelligent. Intelligent is an adjective, and intelligent means able to learn, think, and understand quickly and easily. So someone who is intelligent, we can say that they are smart. For example, in our science book, we are reading some stories that show how intelligent dolphins are. So maybe you've heard that dolphins are some of the most intelligent animals. That's because dolphins can actually solve problems, show emotions, communicate with each other, and even use tools. So because they can do so many different things, we consider them to be intelligent. They can think and they can understand things quickly. And people can also be described as intelligent if they're also able to learn and think and understand things very easily. Someone who is intelligent might be very good at school and they might get good grades, But being intelligent does not only mean that you are getting good grades. There are people who might be intelligent in different ways. For example, some people might be very good at solving problems, or they might be very good at understanding other people's emotions. So there are different ways that people and animals can be intelligent. Our next word is novel. A novel is a long story about people and events that are imagined by the author. The example says, "Have you read any novels by Laura Ingalls Wilder?" So in this sentence, this is the name of the author, and the sentence is just asking if you've read any of her novels. So a novel can be a story not just about people, but there might also be a novel where the characters are animals. The important thing is that it is a longer story, usually with many chapters. When we have a book with chapters, then it's considered a novel. And novel can also be used as an adjective. When we use it as an adjective, it means new and different. For example, in 1990, the internet was a novel way to find information. So back in the year 1990, that's when the internet was first invented, or when people first had access to the internet. And we can describe it as being a novel way or a new way of finding information. Because before we had the internet, people had to go to the library and find books whenever they wanted to get some information about something. Another example could be, he had a novel idea for a game. Maybe he has a new and very different idea for something, so it can be described as novel. Our next word is resident. Resident is a noun, and a resident is a person who lives in a certain place. The example says, "May we go to this beach to swim, or is it for the residents of the town only?" So there are some places that may be for residents only. There might be some sign like this one here. It means that only the people who are living in that area can use that thing, whether it's a pool or a sports center or something similar like that. I could also say these people here are the residents of this building, and maybe I could make a sentence like, "The residents of the building had a party on the weekend." I'm calling them residents because they are the ones who live in this building. In this picture here, there's 3 different houses, and each house has different residents. So this family here, they are the residents of the first house. This grandma and grandpa are the residents of the second house, and they are the residents of the third house. So we can use the word resident to talk about something small, like just the people who live in a home, and then we can go bigger from there. For example, we can be residents of a home, or we can be residents of a neighborhood. That's a little bit bigger. We can be residents of a town, or we can be residents of a city. And even bigger than that, we can be residents of a country. And the biggest one, we are all residents of planet Earth. That's the place where we live. So you can choose the size that you want to talk about for this word, and any way of using it here is correct, as long as it's talking about the person or the people who live in a certain place. Our next word is starve. Starve is a verb, and it means to be very hungry or to suffer because of not eating any food. So people need food to live, and someone who is starving, that means that they're not getting enough food, and if they continue to not get enough food, they might actually end up dying. The example sentence says, the farmers want to bring hay to the animals trapped by the flood before they starve. So you can imagine that there was a big disaster like a flood, and the animals are trapped because of that flood. They don't have any food. So in this sentence, the farmers are working hard to bring them some food. That way they don't starve, because they need food in order to live. So the word starve is a very strong word, and it's used in serious situations where people don't have enough food, so they are going very hungry, and if they continue to not have enough food, then they might even die. We do also use this word in a dramatic way sometimes when a person is feeling very, very hungry. Maybe they didn't eat breakfast or lunch and now it's dinner time, then they might very dramatically say that they are starving. So that doesn't mean that they will die because they're not getting food, but it is also used to mean that you are feeling very hungry. So both ways of using this word are correct. Whether you're talking about something that is very serious, like someone who hasn't had food for a long, long time, or whether you're talking about feeling very hungry. Our last word is volunteer. And volunteer can be used as a noun and as a verb. Both of the meanings are the same. One of them is just the action. So as a noun, volunteer means a person who offers to do a job, usually without pay. So volunteers are doing some work and they're not getting any money for that work. The example says, Marco, who is a volunteer in our class, helps Mrs. Stevens with the art projects. So in a classroom, there might be some chances for students to volunteer or to do some work for their teacher. For example, these students here might volunteer to clean up the classroom every day after school, or this girl here could volunteer to clean the whiteboard or the blackboard after class. So they are called volunteers. Remember, we're using it as a noun. And the action that they are doing, now we can say that they are volunteering or they volunteered to do something. So as a verb, volunteer means to choose to do something or to give help. For example, Kathy volunteered to help in the library on Thursday mornings. So here Kathy did the action of volunteering. She will do this help in the library. People can volunteer for things like cleaning up trash in a park or at a beach, or you can even volunteer to help in animal shelters to help take care of animals that don't have any owners or homes. So just a quick example, if I'm using it as a noun, I can say here in this picture, the volunteers are cleaning up the park. I'm talking about the people because it's a noun. And if I use it as a verb, I can say they volunteered to clean up the park. So now the noun is not volunteer, the noun is they in my sentence, they, and the action they are doing is volunteering. They volunteered to clean up the park. And that's all for this video. We went over the Wordly Wise Lesson 3 words. Thank you so much for listening and see you next time. Bye!